happened in Game 11 of the season.
It is kind of weird, and it's why it really shocked me. I went out, feeling very confident. I've always felt good playing against Arkansas, and I knew what they were going to do. Nothing was a surprise to me, and it was just a weird game. It was a surprise to me, honestly.
What did stuff like that? What's it a symptom of? What causes that?
It's hard to say, really. We had a good week of practice. Guys didn't miss the fits that they had in practice. I thought we had a really good week of practice. Coaches were doing great. I thought Coach Thurman did an excellent job the entire week preparing us. I can say that because I've been here a long time, and I know when I feel good about a plan and when I feel like it's going to work. I felt great about the plan that Coach Thurman had for us. It was a weird thing, runs were hitting us when they shouldn't have. It was just one gap misfits, and they were popping for long yardage. So.
You talked about Thurman. A lot of people have been blaming him for the defense as of late. I know you respect him and know him more than most people. Where does that respect come from you? Why do you think he's such a good coach?
I've had 3 different defense coordinators, so and with those 3, I've been here and here. So I've been high and low with all of them. So I know the defense pretty well by now. I know how the game works. I know how the offense works. I can tell you that Coach Thurman is a great defensive coordinator. I don't have I think he's one of the best I've ever had. I have a ton of respect for him. Even as a player, I think he's very down to earth with us, and I've said that before. And I still stand by that. I think he's an excellent coach, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the play calls that you were calling. He's a great guy, and we just got to execute better sometimes as players.
I know the Egg Bowl has a lot of meaning because it's the Egg Bowl, but just for the defense, is there one game, go out there and do it right? You know what I mean? Just let's end this on a good note. Is that kind of part of it too?
Yeah, that's always how the Egg Bowl is, and it's an intense rivalry game, and we a lot of times we know the guys up there. I was recruited with a lot of them. I played in the Mississippi-Alabama game with a lot of them. It's just a pretty intense game usually, and it's been a lot of fun. So
there is a ton of emotion, heat, whatever you want to call it, among fans in the stands, off the field. How much of that actually translates on the field, or once you start, is it just kind of another game?
Yeah, I don't know. In different years, it's kind of been different. Maybe the past couple years has been, not as heated as usual. I can remember my first years here was pretty intense. We had some close battles, and it was pretty intense. I don't know. For my career here, it's kind of gone up and down, depending. And like I said, sometimes we know a lot of guys on the team, so it's like after the game, it's not like we're, people are cussing each other out or anything. I'm sure the fans are, but sometimes we're just like, all right, we're football players. We can kind of relate on a common factor here. So
Dan mentioned one day trying to find a leadership replacement for you. He mentioned JT Gray as one of those guys. Just thoughts on JT being a leader, and do you think he's ready to handle that next year?
Yeah, there's Dez, JT. I think there's a few linebackers that will step up and be good leaders. Dez has shown some really good leadership skills at the end of this year. He's kind of stepped up, and I think he's ready to handle that role. JT, I think he can handle that role as well. There's some guys that I think will step up and be good leaders.
You've been here a while, so this may be a kind of weird question, but you started 5 years ago, kind of in the infancy of Twitter and that sort of thing, and now 5 years later, everybody's tweeting at players and stuff. Does that get into the locker room at all? Do y'all ever address that? Is it kind of talked about?
Things people post on Twitter?
Yeah, especially like this week with the rivalry week.
No, not really. Especially not me. I don't even look at social media. Most of the time, it's my wife posting things. I will look at it every now and then. But no, we don't focus. I'm sure some of the young guys are, a little more social media focused. But me, I don't care.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, I don't think guys really care about with social media.
You've talked about how, the game plan that you thought it was good going in, and then some guys just didn't do what they were supposed to do. You've played about 1 million games now, so it's easy but early in your career, did you have moments where you almost kind of freaked out on the field, like it was going too fast? And you see how,
sure,
do you know how that happens?
Yeah, I can remember times like that, especially my freshman, sophomore, and those kind of years, my first years here. Sometimes the speed of the game, you think you know something, but the speed of the game starts going, you get a little nervous, and you hesitate for 1 second, and that offensive line's moving, and all of a sudden you're out of gap at one place. So gotta. I mean, it takes some level of maturity sometimes. You know, some of the young guys, you know, they're still kind of handling the speed of the game, the nervousness. You know, home crowd, senior night. You know, you got to win these 2 games to make a bowl game kind of scenario. So I mean, I could see how some young guys, would, you know, where they got to really be locked in to handle that pressure sometimes.
What would a win Saturday mean to you?
It would be huge. You know, most likely my last game here. So I mean, it would be huge to me to end my season on a win, especially against the Rebels. So that would be fun.